It's time to motivate, educate, and entertain with the Mo You Know. Our 15 minutes of fame starts now.
Hey everybody, it's your girl Shadonna Mo McFall, and you are tuning in to the Mo You Know 15 Minutes of Fame. I am here today with Joey Armstrong from Veterans Guardian. Hey Joey.
Hey, how are you today?
Hey, I am really good. I just want to say thank you for taking the time to speak with me today, because I know we have a lot of information that we need to get out to our veterans.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
You are so welcome. So tell me a little bit more about your time in the military, your time as a veteran.
Okay, I was a paratrooper in the Army. I did 2 tours in Afghanistan with the 173rd Airborne. After I left the 173rd Airborne, I continued my career in the airborne community at the 1st and the 509th Airborne Op 4, and then I went to the 82nd, where I'm now retired, medically retired in Fayetteville.
Okay, so when people hear airborne, so I was in the Air Force, so that means you jumped out of planes, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So why in the world would you jump out of a perfectly good airplane?
Well, it's first of all, it's fun. It's an adrenaline rush. I've always loved it. And second of all, it's a good way to quickly, close with and destroy the enemy.
Yeah, absolutely. It was so funny because I was at I went to the banquet for All American Week, and the general was talking about, he was like, I'm 55 years old. This is the dumbest I've ever done. And everybody just laughed, and it was just hilarious. So,
I can't say I share that sentiment. I'm proud to be a paratrooper.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was too, but it was just funny,
Yeah, no.
So tell me a little bit more about Veterans Guardian VA Claims Consultant.
So Veterans Guardian is a claims consulting agency that helps veterans file fully developed claims. We're an evidence-based claims consulting company. So what that means is we collect the data from a veteran in order to decisively develop a course of action and a strategy that's going to get them an increase if they are eligible for an increase on an existing rating, or to establish a rating that is not pre-existing.
Okay, and how do veterans get in touch with you? Because I know there's a lot of veterans, and as you know, I work with homeless veterans. And a lot of our homeless veterans don't even know that they can do this. And I know with how the times have changed with technology and social media, people are learning more. And so how can they get in touch with Veterans Guardian?
Well, veterans can get in touch with us at veteransguardian.com/Armstrong or joseph.armstrong@vetsguardian.com. And my telephone number is 910-445-0373, and they can feel free to call me for a phone consultation. And if for some reason, because not everybody is going to be eligible to use our services, if for some reason they're not, we will definitely provide them with resources and agencies that can address whatever the need is, because they may be calling for an unrelated reason that does not have to do with what our scope is.
Absolutely, and I know there are a lot of organizations who specialize in have different niches for veterans.
Yes.
So I want the veterans and the family members who are helping our veterans not to get discouraged if you call one organization and that's not what they specialize in. Take the information and go to the place that this is our specialty. Some people get frustrated. Hey, well, I called you and you didn't help me, because that's not what we do. You got to make sure you're reaching out to the right people and not getting frustrated. So.
Sure, and we work hand in hand with other nonprofits such as the Special Forces Charitable Trust, the Patriot Foundation, and Continuing the Mission. Those are all great organizations that we back and sponsor. I've always been an advocate for Mission 22.
Absolutely, and I know when I went down to your Pinehurst building, I met Bill, who's your operations officer, and I was telling him a little bit more about what Most Heroes does. And I'm always advocating for the VA and the people, like I said, those niche organizations, because what Most Heroes does is we kind of direct traffic. Okay, you need this is transportation, you need this, to try to get people to the right spot so they don't get so frustrated. And I was telling him about, our $1 Million Makeover program, because, to me it's very important that our veterans look the part when they get out of the military. A lot of times people tend to let themselves go. They tend to do get the blue hair, the purple hair, the grow the beards, and I'm not saying anything is wrong with any of that, but we got to be mindful of how civilian employers look at us, because I know when I did it too. When I got out, I had pink hair, had blue hair, my nails was all crazy because we couldn't have that, so people always want what they can't have, right?
Yep, and there are a lot of misconceptions and generalizations and stereotypes that military personnel have towards civilian employers, and vice versa, the civilian employers about the veterans, because they think, they have PTSD, they're going to flip out at any second, and that's just not the case. It's blown out of proportion, and that's a lot of times what I talk about with the veterans when they call on the phone is because something with the the mental illness, which is rated in a couple different ways, whether it's PTSD, depression, anxiety, adjustment disorder. That's something that is very prevalent, is social and occupational impairment. Their inability to hold a job, or their relationship with their employers and coworkers, it may suffer as a result of their military experience, especially if they're a combat veteran.
Absolutely. And I know I've had a couple of jobs since I retired in 2016, and it wasn't because I couldn't do the job, but like you said, it was just like, okay, it just wasn't a good fit. I love the people that I worked with, but when you go from the structured, hey, boom, 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 and some people are kind of like willy-nilly, and that kind of frustrates veterans, we have to learn how to adjust, because we know everything's not going to be dressed anymore. But that's a very hard adjustment for a lot of us, especially if no matter how long we've done, but especially people who've done 20, 30 plus years in the military, to go from all of this structure to do what you want to do and let us know how it turns out, because a lot of people need that direction.
Sure.
And there's nothing wrong with that, because direction, a lot of times, like even with the basketball players and football players, you have your coaches, you have your consultants, you have your managers. And in the military, that's what it's all about. You always have somebody over you telling you what to do, what to wear. We have our structured career plans. Everything is kind of like laid out, and we just have to follow it. And sometimes we veer off.
Absolutely. And when that structure is removed, there's a void.
Yep.
So with that said, I would just encourage any veteran out there listening to go ahead and take advantage of all the programs that are available when you're transitioning from military to civilian life, to set yourself up for success. Take the resume writing classes seriously, and the job interview, and there's also services that offer those same types of programs when you're out of service after you've ETS'd or retired.
Yeah, and don't be afraid, veterans, too, of entrepreneurship, because now a lot of companies, like I said, the SBA, even the colleges, have a lot of entrepreneurship programs, because what happens is the veterans, they can't go back into that civilian workplace, corporate America, because the structure is there, but it's not what they're used to. So a lot of times people they want to do their own things. They know they have the skills, they know they have the talent, they know they have the passion, but sometimes it takes just a little bit more motivation, and to run a business, a little bit more determination. So you really got to put that effort out there, no matter what you're trying to do, whether you're going to a civilian job, whether you're going to entrepreneurship, whether you're going back to school, you have to put that effort in. You have to have that determination, because the only thing that the government or these organizations can't give you is self-determination. And
Sure.
That's the only thing that really matters when it comes to being successful and running your life the way that you want to run it.
And doing something that you're passionate about. I'm very passionate about what I do with Veterans Guardian. Continuing to serve and help my fellow veterans is something that I take very seriously. And if it's something that you're not physically or mentally able to do, if it's not congruent with your physical and mental state, then find something that is.
Yep. Absolutely. And what I find too, working with the veterans in the community, and the veterans who call Most Heroes, and the veterans who email Most Heroes, is they're fine now, or they were fine when they got out, but you got to realize you're going to get older, and those back pains are going to come,
Yes.
Everything that you're doing now, you got to remember, you got to think long term. And I know for the Air Force especially, I can't say anything about the other branches because I didn't serve. Our thing was always the way ahead.
Yeah,
some people are thinking right now, well, I'm fine now, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. You got to think 20 years down the road. You got to think 5. You got to think long term about what's going to happen to my body. And this paperwork, getting your
keeping it together.
Yeah, keeping your records together. Yeah,
Absolutely.
You can go and get them later, but the sooner you get those records into the hands of the VA, into the system, the easier it's going to be to prove something later.
Yes, and I cannot stress it enough that it's imperative that veterans out there that are sustaining injuries, physical or mental, while on active duty, you need to be seen by a doctor, you need to be seen by a psychologist so that these things can be documented. If you don't feel like you want to get monetary compensation for it, then at least then you can get treatment for it, because this is something that you're medically, ethically, and legally entitled to as a result of your military service. And that's our mission statement: is getting veterans the compensation that they are medically, ethically, and legally entitled to.
Absolutely. So give us that information on how they can reach you guys one more time.
Sure. So my website is vetsguardian.com/Armstrong, or my email, they can send me a brief outline of what their situation is, then I'll return their call, is joseph.armstrong@vetsguardian.com, and my telephone number is 910-445-0373. And then what happens at that point is I'll make a quick assessment on the situation, and I forward their information to my intake team. And what they do is they gather the documents necessary to develop a strategy, and then they guide them from start to finish throughout the process, whether that be getting an increase on an orthopedic condition or hypertension or headaches, or whether we refer them to a board-certified psychologist or doctor which works hand in hand with us to get them a mental health rating established or increased. We also have medical record specialists that can look through that stuff and meticulously comb through the information, because that's what their background is working with military medical records to find anything that they may be eligible for an increase on if they've been shortchanged on a rating that they have.
Okay, and is there a fee involved with these services?
There's a fee on a contingent basis in the event of a favorable outcome. If the veteran does not get a favorable outcome or an increase, in other words, they will not receive a bill. And we have interest-free payment options that they can choose from, and we can help veterans worldwide regardless of geographical location.
Okay, absolutely. And I know there are a lot of people who say, well, why do you have to charge, and why do you have to charge? And even on your website, y'all let people know there are definitely free services, free organizations
Absolutely.
that the veteran can go to. And I just encourage veterans, whether you go the paid route or whether you go the free route, do something.
And when it's feasible, use those nonprofit organizations or the VSO. What we specialize in, and again, we have a 95% success rate and a 1 to 5 month turnaround. We're A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So when these veterans continuously hit brick walls and they're fighting an uphill battle and they're disappointed and they're dismayed by a broken VA system, for decades or even longer. For example, I've had Vietnam War veterans that have cried on my shoulder, literally. So it's very rewarding. Again, I take it personally what I do. So what I tell people is if they've gone 5 or more months trying to do this unsuccessfully in any other fashion or manner, then they've already wasted time and money by not using us.
Absolutely. And like I said, I am an advocate for all things veterans, like I said, getting your VA benefits, using your education benefits, using your health benefits. And I think a lot of veterans get so caught up with it has to be veteran. You got to remember too, you're still technically a civilian. So all of these organizations,
That's right.
So a lot of times people won't go to an organization if it doesn't identify as a veteran. But you got to remember, like I said, there are so many resources that you have access to, but you have to put in the effort. You have to make the phone calls and do the work, do the legwork on your part. Thank you again, Joey, for spending your 15 minutes with us today. I know your 15 minutes of fame is going to go a lot further than just this interview. Do you have any other
Hopefully.
parting words that you would like to give to the veterans and the people in our community and all the viewers who are watching this podcast today?
No, just please take heed to what we discussed, and I wanted to say thank you for, doing your outreach and offering services and programs to veterans and connecting them to the resources that they need to improve their quality of life, and because we need more people out there doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much. And guys, thank you again for watching The Mo You Know. If you have any other questions about veterans and how Most Heroes helps veterans, please visit us at www.mostheroes.org and Most Heroes on all our social media platforms. Thank you again for watching The Mo You Know, and we will see you next week.